I can't figure out if I did anything wrong, or if so, what, because I honestly have no idea what's going on. Hopefully someone here can give me a clue. Here's the relevant info as far as I know. My brother and his wife are expecting their first girl after 2 boys. I love my nephews Ricky and Jace, and so does my sister-in-law, but she's always wanted a girl and is very excited to have one. She also wants to name the girl Chloe as she loves that name. My brother hates the name Chloe and really wants to name their daughter Stephanie. They've been arguing about it for a few weeks since finding out the gender. I got to my parents' house late last night and my sister-in-law was the only person still awake. We talked briefly and she asked me the weirdest question. She asked me if I knew any stories about great aunt Stephanie. I was so confused I literally said, "Who?" Sister-in-law clarified that she was talking about our grandmother's older sister that died when Grandma was a little girl. Our grandma had 2 sisters, but their names were Judy and Lynn. There's no one in our family named Stephanie as far as I know. I told as much to my sister-in-law. She changed the subject after that and we soon went to bed. This morning my brother and his wife were both sulking during breakfast. Even the kids could tell. Nephew Ricky kept saying, "Stop being grumpy on Christmas." So it wasn't just my imagination. Finally I got my brother alone and confronted him. He snapped at me for meddling and told me to stay out of his marriage. My brother is angry at me and my sister-in-law won't even talk to me. I'm afraid to say anything to my parents and drag them into this, especially since I still don't know what this is. My grandmother had a secret sister that I don't know about, but my brother does for some reason, or my brother lied to his wife to convince her to name their baby Stephanie. Both options seem equally weird to me. Is there a third possibility I'm not seeing? Am I the idiot? If so, please explain to me why. I don't want to be the reason Christmas is ruined. Not the idiot. You cannot be expected to maintain lies you're not aware of if you even view maintaining convenient lies as one of your duties in the first place. Way too many of these questions are because some relative refused to lie to another relative or just didn't know that a lie exists. Unfortunately, there is a possibility Stephanie is or was a female companion of his liking. Agreed, but even if there was a sister that he knew about and you didn't, couldn't he have just told you that instead of getting angry at you? He doesn't have to have an ex named Stephanie, does he? Weirdly, your sister-in-law is not talking to you. It does sound like your brother was lying to try and get his preferred name, but you only answered a direct question that was asked of you. Does your brother generally treat your sister-in-law well, or does he seem to be the type that could be abusive? That is a possible reason for sister-in-law to stop talking to you over this. Hey OP, your brother is a comics fan, right? Is he by any chance a big Batman fan? I see a kind of pattern with these names. He already has Ricky and Jace. Let's just say if this baby had been a boy, he would have suggested Tim. Dude, he's naming his children after Batman characters. These are all the names of former Robins, as in Batman and Robin: Richard Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown. Tim was the name he wanted if they were having a boy. How did you know that? Oh, sweet Jesus Almighty, that's horrific. If you're right about that, and I can't imagine why you would make that up, my brother is about to be in so much trouble. Your brother is freaking out because any name but Stephanie will ruin the little theme he has going on here. Please tell his wife that all her kids have been named after Robin. This is sitcom levels of hilarity. I need an update on this, OP. Update. Am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law that no one in our family is named Stephanie? People, you were right. Brother is about to have a very unpleasant conversation, and this is the most awkward Christmas Eve dinner ever. Gotta keep this short, lots going on. Since everyone now knows what my brother was doing with the kids' names, except the kids obviously, they are angry. Weirdly, my mom is the angriest. Basically, sister-in-law was really surprised and angry. My brother said he thought it was cute and funny and would have told her the reason once they were done having kids. But instead, Mom went off on him and called him a permanent adolescent she failed to raise to adulthood. This really hurt my brother's feelings, and my dad stepped in and said no fighting during Christmas for the kids. So, everyone agreed to table the discussion until after the festivities, but my mom said my brother and sister-in-law are naming the baby what sister-in-law wants because, after my brother's stunt, he lost the right to have a say. The baby is definitely going to be named Chloe. My brother quickly backed down when my mom said some more choice words to him. The topic is completely banned for the rest of the festivities, so for now at least, they've tied a bow on the situation. Christmas morning update. Aside from some glaring over a couple of the boys' stocking stuffers, Robin Funko Pops, everything went well with the gift opening. My brother realizes he has crossed a line and has been very attentive to his wife. He mentioned getting Chloe's name embroidered on some stuff when they got home. He even told Mom he would make the Christmas breakfast so she could have a break, and he gave me an "I'm sorry" grin when I opened his gift. I think everything is going to be fine. Holy mother of macaroni, of all the insane things I've read on here, this is absolutely cray-cray. I can't wait to read what happens with this. The fact that he lied about his grandmother's dead sister to keep it going is insane. He is literally gaslighting his wife about his family history to name their kids what he wants. I have no kind words for him. Anybody and everybody deserves better than that from their partner. My goodness. The worst part of this story is the Funko Pop. I feel so bad for your sister-in-law to have to live with someone like that. He has no problems making up stories to his wife. Was he planning on lying to her his entire life? She was lied to, you got dragged into it. Maybe you could have avoided bringing Mom and Dad into it once you suspected it was likely Batman-themed and had nothing to do with a real or imagined family member. I think Mom's got every right to yell at her son and take daughter-in-law's side on this. She's not resolving their dispute. OP was pretty clear that daughter-in-law was passionate about a certain name. Dad's got every right to tell them not to fight at his house about it. Time and a place for everything. A potentially marriage-ending fight regarding a childish, manipulative, dishonest spouse ain't happening in my house at my Christmas. Your brother should be thanking his lucky stars that you spilled the beans. Can you imagine what would have happened if his wife had caved and they named the baby Stephanie, and then she told relatives on your side of the family that the baby was named after your brother's late great-aunt? Everyone would have had the same reaction as you did. Your brother would have been outed as a lying idiot to a much wider audience, and your sister-in-law would have been humiliated. Your brother is definitely top 5 for the Idiot of the Year award. What an entitled, juvenile, self-centered idiot. But I'm glad everything ends well. Update 2. Am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law that no one in our family is named Stephanie? My brother Mikey is playful and loves his kids more than anything. Our family has always tolerated small, short-term white lies for the sake of harmless pranks. However, Mikey's lie wasn't small, short-term, or harmless. He hurt his wife's feelings deeply. Mikey says, and sister-in-law confirmed, that he was never insistent about naming my oldest nephew Richard. There were other names he suggested, but she liked Richard, so they picked it. Mikey spends a lot of time with Ricky. He often takes him to job sites and lets Ricky pretend to be his assistant. He has this playful thing with Ricky that he's Mikey's sidekick, and they're a team. It's sweet. Here endeth the sweetness. When my sister-in-law was pregnant again, Mikey wanted to replicate the Robin thing. He wanted to name this son after the next Robin, Jason. My sister-in-law wasn't as big a fan of that name, but she also needed a name she loved. Mikey was very persistent about the name, so she decided it was fine. He never told her why he wanted that name, just said he really liked it. My sister-in-law said to him, and also to me, she doesn't have a problem with the fact that he got the name from a comic book. She gets what the meaning is to him, even though she doesn't like comics and thinks it's cute. Her issue is that he lied by omission. Even though she wouldn't have cared about the name, he lied just in case she might have, and if it had been something she wouldn't have approved of, she would want to have been able to say no. However, even with this, she wouldn't have been too mad about it. The lie of omission became an active lie when he made up a family member to convince her of the name of the next Robin, Stephanie, when there was a girl name she loved, Chloe. That's not a small lie for a cute prank. Even though Mikey was defensive initially, after they had a private conversation this morning, he realized how wrong he was and apologized. My sister-in-law said he was very sincere, and Mikey has never been good at faking sincerity. He feels awful for taking advantage of her trust. He feels even worse that it involved their children. This whole thing has soured my sister-in-law on the name Chloe. Now it only reminds her of the fight and hurt. She wants to come up with a completely new name, one related to her hobbies like Mallory or Rita. She's going to take some time to not think about it. Their marriage isn't in danger, but a wound is there. Now that Mikey has admitted fault, it can heal, and it will with time. If you learn anything from Mikey, learn that everyone makes mistakes. If someone truly loves you, they can usually forgive you. However, to earn that forgiveness, you must admit to what you did, not double down and try to trick your way out of it. Wow, I am in disbelief that someone is a big enough Robin fan to fabricate an entire dead great aunt so they could keep their delusional fandom naming streak going. What an insane story. People never cease to amaze me. Thank goodness he at least realizes just how badly he messed up. Something like this is no mere prank. OMG, so he is Batman and the kids are all his Robins. So I don't know if the guy is a Robin fan so much as wanting to secretly be Batman himself. Your brother sucks. His tail is between his legs now because he got caught and was forced to come clean. He would have continued to push for the name Stephanie had you not interfered. Hopefully he is not selfish in other areas. I'm glad your sister-in-law will be able to pick the name she wants. My mom owns a daycare and I'm preparing to take over the business in June. Even though I don't own the business now, I still handle hiring and firing employees, payroll and buying new supplies, and I'm in charge of the curriculum for half of the classes. In June, my mom hired Emma, 18, without checking it with me. She promised Emma 18 hours a week even though we weren't hiring and didn't have the funds to pay an unneeded employee for 18 hours a week, especially when she talked my mom into giving her $3 over our starting rate. I told Emma the best we can do is 10 hours a week, with the potential to go to 15 later in the year. She looked a little upset but said that was fine. I will admit Emma is a great employee. She's always 5 to 10 minutes early and has no problem staying late. She has a good attitude. The kids and parents love her, and she gets along well with the other employees. She's also okay with driving my mom home if I have to leave early. My mom adores Emma. She says they have similar interests, and she sees Emma as a younger version of herself. One thing about Emma is that she babysits. I talked to her when we hired her and said it's a policy that employees don't babysit students. She was upfront with me and said she's been babysitting 2 of our students since before she started working here. I told her that was okay, but don't babysit any other students. Everything has been going great, but I found out she has been babysitting 5 other students behind my back. I texted her about it, and she said she needed the money since her hours had been cut, and they offered her a rate that she couldn't refuse. My mom says it's not a big deal, but I want to fire her for breaking our rules. I'm planning on firing her next month, but my mom says I'm being cruel and that if I fire her, she's going to give her a warning and help her get a job at another daycare. You are the idiot. Your policy is nonsensical and antithetical to your business. If you fire a reliable and well-liked employee, you are only shooting yourself in the foot. I can't help but feel there's some subconscious jealousy that might be clouding your judgment. Professionally, it doesn't serve you to fire her, especially as your mother has said she'll get her a job with a competitor. Can you promise she won't poach the kids she babysits at her new location? It's a dumb rule. Do you have kids yourself? You know that parents might need childcare outside of daycare hours, and who better knows their children than Emma? Or do you want them to scramble to find a stranger to watch them instead? Let her work. Also, it's illegal in most places to fire somebody for what they do in their time away from work. That is an illegal policy, and you're likely going to be sued for it. Not the idiot, and I don't understand how no one else here gets that. What if something goes wrong while she's babysitting clients she found at your business? How does that look for you and your reputation? Will she favor her babysitting clients? It's an obvious conflict of interest. Are you liable in any way, ask a lawyer, if there's an issue while she's off-site, especially since you now know she does this? There's also the fact that you set a reasonable boundary and she lied to your face. She could have found clients anywhere and didn't. I've never gotten along with my sister-in-law. I find her to be lazy, selfish, loud and demanding. My 3 nephews, ages kindergarten to tween age, are the only good thing about her. My brother and sister-in-law are flat broke from their various business ventures and are really struggling. I've stepped up many times with financial assistance. For example, I'm the one who pays for my nephew's extracurricular activities. Recently, their financial situation got so bad that they could barely afford groceries. They were literally splitting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That was unacceptable, and I offered to buy them weekly groceries. They accepted my help. I don't do online grocery shopping because most of the time they get the order wrong or don't have what I want, so I just go to the store. I get an email from my bro or sister-in-law asking for stuff. I buy their groceries with mine and then drop their stuff off. It's not the money that annoys me, it's the extra work of bagging and going opposite my house to drop off their stuff. Again, I do it for my nephews, allowing me to see them. This week I did the grocery shop on my lunch break and texted my sister-in-law to come outside to get their stuff. My brother was out on interviews and my nephews were at school. She just said to leave the groceries on the doorstep. I said, I'm not Uber Eats. I'm doing you a favour by feeding your family. So give me the respect of at least coming to your door and acknowledging me. Show me some respect for the time, money and effort that I've put in. No, she wasn't in a situation where she couldn't have taken a minute to do this. She was probably on social media. She came to the door and had a bad attitude. I told her that if my buying and dropping off groceries was too much work for her, then I won't do it anymore. Later, my brother called to find out what happened and I told him. He said my sister-in-law said I was volatile toward her and she didn't understand why. I told him that she knew and now I'm not doing Christmas if she doesn't get on the phone and apologise to me. She did and blamed her hormones. I told her that I didn't care about her hormones. I'm not going to let her disrespect me and let her think that she gets a pass by blaming her hormones. So yeah, I'll cancel Christmas if she's going to be rude to me. I'd hate for that to happen, but that's on my brother and sister-in-law to burden. And it's not her hormones. She's always had this nasty attitude. It's not new. Saying that a woman can get a pass for being an idiot as long as she blames her hormones is like saying a man can get a pass for being an idiot by saying, boys will be boys. Not the idiot. It's basic respect to come out and help unload and say thank you when people bring you stuff, especially if that stuff is food for your kids. You're already doing a lot for them, so the thought of any level of perceived disrespect is too much to bear, because you're bearing too much. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. OP, you're doing more than enough. If she doesn't have a job, she needs to get one. Give them a date you'll stop buying groceries, and for the love of everything, just have them delivered. If they mess something up, I'm sure your sister-in-law and brother will still be glad for the groceries. Everyone's the idiot here. You went from 0 to 100 real quick, and I feel like if anyone has mood swings, it's you. You're clearly reaching the end of your ability to keep providing for them like this. You need to have a conversation with them about their plans to get themselves out of this situation, and they can't just expect to rely on you forever. Agreed. OP is under no obligation to help the family, but he chose to. He chose to shop for the groceries. He chose to go over to drop them off when his brother wasn't home. He chose to antagonize someone he shares mutual dislike with. He's choosing to give charity without a charitable spirit. Either help or don't. But stop harassing your sister-in-law and stop whining. My mom and stepdad have been together since I was 5, married since I was 6, and I'm now 20. My dad died when I was 5. He and mom were separated but not divorced when he passed away, and mom started dating my stepdad a few weeks later. I met him about 5 months after my dad died, and he moved in with us after a year, and they married 14 months after that. My mom really wanted me to have a dad, and I found my stepdad a good partner and someone who could be a good dad to me. Only I never wanted another dad, so I always called him by his first name and referred to him as my stepdad. He and I have butted heads over this a lot. He thinks I should be his daddy's little girl. I think it's crazy that he feels I owe him that and know him from the start. The older I get, the worse it gets, and even with 3 boys, he's still focused on me being his little girl. I've told him I appreciate him, but I won't call him dad. I spent a lot of time with my mom's parents as a kid and had a bedroom at their house. We had Christmas at their house this year, and all morning my stepdad was bringing up these stories of adult stepkids asking step-parents to adopt them, and on, and told me I would be asking him soon enough after all these years. He found this article on Facebook about a woman asking her stepmom to adopt her, where she talked about it being insulting to call her stepmom because she was always a mom to her. He said that's how it was with him and me, how I only ever had him as a dad, etc. It got on my nerves. I told him to stop, and so did Grandma, who told him nobody wanted to hear about that at Christmas, but he would not let up. So I went up to my room at my grandparents', grabbed some old art supplies I still had there, and made a sign that said, Jason, stepdad's name, you are not the father of Gracie, me. Think of the Maury show and how that was like a meme for a while. When dinner was ready, I brought down the sign and gave it to him and told him whenever he needed to remember, he could look at it and adjust his expectations. He was angry. My grandparents and half-brothers laughed. The oldest of my brothers actually said his dad needed something like that because he never seemed to understand it. My mom tried to calm him down, but he told me I was an ungrateful and disrespectful little girl who would be sad when he finally gave up caring about me. I told him I never asked him to be an idiot to me, but to accept I will never call him dad and will never allow him to adopt me. I told him we could be close if he'd just accept I don't see him as my dad. My mom wants me to apologize, but my grandparents think he should apologize for constantly pushing. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Normally I would have thought the sign was a bit much, but apparently he wouldn't get the message even after being told repeatedly and even after 15 years. He seems to have real control issues, and he clearly doesn't respect you since you've made it very clear that he's not your father and you don't see him as such. I thought the same thing. This man isn't upset about her not wanting to be his daughter, he's upset he can't control her. Your grandparents and brothers are great for supporting you so well with this too, and your mom should have called him out over a decade and a half ago as well, and she's really let you down here. I'm really sorry that you're dealing with this, OP. Good luck moving forwards. He sounds weirdly entitled to you and I really hate it. Even if your stepdad was super dad, it's his job to respect your wishes if you don't view him that way. It sounds like you've clearly set those boundaries, and so have your loved ones, but he refused to listen to you. Sometimes lessons are learned the hard way. Thank goodness for your grandparents.